everybody, and welcome to the Amazon European Masters. My name is Hiprain, and I am joined by the ever wonderful Jamada. Jamada, how are you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to finally be back on a broadcast. It's been a little bit too long since me and you have gone to crack some jokes on a League of Legends game.
Been a little while since we've taken to the mics, but we are now into the group stages of the European Masters. The knockouts behind us, and we are getting ready to go into kind of the meat of the entire tournament. And, you know, we've got so many stacked teams. We've got so many expectations. I don't even know where to begin, to be honest, frankly, Jamada. Where do we begin is the real question.
It's a tough question. There are many stacked groups, as you allude to, and we will get to that eventually. But more than anything, I think we're just going to have another exciting EUM where we're going to have, like you say, these expectations shattered. Some hopefully met as well from some of our top teams here.
Yeah, well, for those of you who haven't watched the European Masters before, or you know, need a little refresh on how this tournament runs, we actually do have a breakdown on how the Amazon EU Masters functions and how the tournament happens with this explainer video. So give us a watch and back in a moment. Hey everyone, and welcome to the European Masters, the tournament that pits the very best ERL teams against one another. 13 regions will compete, so join the hype and be the first to discover Europe's hottest new talent. Let's get right into it. EU Masters begins with the play-in group stage, where regions will have at least one team represented with a total of 16 teams divided into 4 groups. Each team will play against other teams in their group twice in a best-of-1. The top 2 seeds from each group will move into the play-in knockout stage. Here, the 8 teams will play in a best-of-3 against one other team, with the winners qualifying for the group stages, where 12 teams have already pre-qualified. The group stage is where teams will compete in a double round robin, with the top 2 teams advancing to the knockout stage. The top seeds will play against the second-seeded teams from other groups in a best-of-5, with the winners moving on to the semi-finals. Here, the final 4 teams will play a best-of-5 and fight for their spots in the finals, where there will be one more best-of-5 to determine the European Masters champion. Who will take the crown and become the next European superstar? I, for one, can't wait, so mark your calendars. It's going to be a fun one. See you there. I mean, mostly we've got so many best-of-5s coming up at the end of this tournament, but it's going to be such a the ending is going to be incredible. But we are obviously into the group stages, and group stages is typically one of my favorite stages of the tournament because we get to see teams that you don't typically see. They get to see what they're kind of made of, and you know, while we're talking a little bit about the groups, let's actually have a look at these groups and how everything is broken up, because like you saw in the video, it's broken into 4, but we haven't actually seen our groups yet unless you've been looking on Twitter. So we'll bring out the group graphic and see our 4 groups here at the European Masters. So Group A is Misfits, Premier, UCAM, a Go Rogue, and a North Assist Esports. Group B, PDW, Tricked, Penta, Movistar. Group C, Big, Illuminar, Fnatic Rising, Zero Tenacity. Group D, Vodafone Giants, Mako, Carmine Corp, and Mouse. There's been a lot of talk, but I'm still going to ask this question, and it's a very, very obvious answer. Yes. What group are you excited about?
Yeah, I mean, 2 EUMs back-to-back. It's Group D. That seems to be the group of death. I think is probably the most stacked group that we have here at Amazon European Masters. Of course, scheduled for today, we won't have a Group D match until Game 5, starting off with a Go Rogue Misfits Premier. Be our opening game of the day, followed up by a North Assist, UCAM, Fnatic Rising Big, Z10 versus Illuminar, Matchco versus Vitality Giants, and Mouse versus Carmine Corp to round things off.
Whew. We got some good games. Some good games. I'm gonna throw you the quick question. What are those games are you excited for out of the 6?
I mean, our opening game of the day could actually be a bit of a banger, depending on how Rogue have potentially cleaned up in their little break since play-ins, but also the final game of the day, I think, is what I'm looking at too.
Yeah, I was thinking 1 to 6 as well. And that's a good transition because we are moving and getting ready to go into our first game of the day. This is going to be the LFL's first seed, Misfits Premier, taking on a Go Rogue from the Ultraliga in Poland. Now, like you kind of alluded towards, a Go Rogue, it wasn't the greatest domestic split for them. Their knockout stage, their playoffs during during their domestic split. They didn't win a single best of. They honestly, if their regular season hadn't been better, they wouldn't be here. So they've really got a lot to prove, and they had a shaky play-ins as well. They got a 2-1 win over OP from Italy, but it was a close series. On the other hand, Misfits Premier taking out the current standing champions of the Amazon European Masters in KC in a 3-1 in the LFL Grand Finals. So we got, a team who are looking incredibly on form versus a team that really needs to kind of find their footing here as we head into Champ Select for our first game of the day, Jamada.
Yeah, it's two entirely different stories, right? For Misfits, it's all about, the success of finally kind of beating their demons in Carmine Court, because leading into that series, I believe their head-to-head record is something ridiculous, like 1-7 in their last matchups against Carmine. So taking them down in the finals, no less, a very big achievement. But for Rogue, definitely, is kind of struggling a little bit. Particularly, I think the scrutiny coming towards their mid to late games. And like I say, I think if we can see Rogue have a slightly cleaner sort of post 20 minutes, then this is a matchup which is bound to bring excitement. We're here, picks and bans, like you say. Camille banned away from Sinmivak, and Lee Sin as well removed away from Shlatan. I'm curious about what the jungle priority is actually going to sort of shift towards, because, we've seen a slight buff to Jarvan. I was speaking with Orcs not too long ago. He reckons it's something that might be a priority jungler now. But I'll have to see, of course. Tournament metas do always evolve as things progress. Thresh was the next ban.
Yep.
A little bit of a visual.
Just showing you what the rift looks like in case you forgot.
Yeah.
Anyway, there goes the Ziggs. I believe it was Misfits who've actually banned Ziggs 15 times in a row. So it's Misfits. Yeah, we're switching sides because Misfits were on the blue side. Bit of a graphic problem. That was what was going on. So yeah, Misfits keep up their Ziggs ban, followed up by the Rakan as their final ban here, as we move over to a Go Rogue to find their final ban in this phase. Question to me is what's been left open. Things like the Xin Zhao are still there. The Jarvan, which we were talking to Orcs about prior to the broadcast, is up and available as well. So there's still a lot that is open to both teams. And there goes the Xin Zhao's final ban from a Go Rogue.
Yeah, there you go. So let's see what Misfits want to prioritize. Lurox actually has only played Viego or Lee Sin throughout the entirety of his European Masters run so far. So this is going to be a first-time champion at the tournament for him, as Misfits Premier snapped that one up. And like you said, Misfits keeping up the Ziggs ban run. Funny little tidbit for you guys. They've banned Ziggs 15 games in a row, now make it 16 with this one. Obviously not comfortable playing into the champion as things stand, but Go Rogue, they're going to lock in the Trundle, so they're going to match some of the early game aggression that the Viego can put out with some of the skirmishing of the Trundle. And we'll see now whether they want to prioritize something for FLICKR and AD carry with a little bit of priority, or whether they want to try and just lock in an early mid-jungle duo, just because Trundle can be so strong. Getting a priority pick onto something like the LeBlanc can be very, very powerful here, especially into Sertuss, who loves that champion.
I do feel like, this Ezreal ban pickup, is a good pickup there for a Go Rogue. They do like to put a lot of emphasis on FLICKR as a player. Typically, they like to counterpick that support role, so don't expect to see a support come through unless Misfits grab a bot lane duo here and just look for something really, really aggressive. Obviously, the Rakan's been taken away. They are looking, potentially for a blind lock-in on that front, and maybe they just look to play towards a mid-jungle matchup, which is incredibly powerful. And LeBlanc, obviously, not the best to get in priority, but as a 2v2 jungle mid duo, that is a nasty one for Misfits Premier. We'll see if they answer out with an AD carry, or if they look to just pick up another solo laner here. They are just going to go towards Woolite. I believe this is actually his most played champion during the year, and that is actually the Aphelios. Yeah,
so Aphelios to match the range, of course. The Ezreal as well can't really do much to stifle the scaling in lane 1-to-1. So Aphelios can have a bit of a easy time scaling up there. Chres hovering the Twisted Fate, definitely be a strong lock-in. Can definitely suffer in the lane 1-to-1 with LeBlanc, but obviously trying to get out of the lane with a Destiny Gate as much as possible to affect those side lanes. Looks like that will be the case. So I'm expecting a Go Rogue to actually lock in their support on R4 and then save that counter pick for Sinmivak. Of course, we do say a Go Rogue, they don't very often, though, however, blind their support. But I think in this kind of setup, unless you're going to look to try and ban away two tops here, Jace will be the first one away from Agresivoo as most played champion of summer. That would likely be the case. So let's see how Misfits want to respond, because I think you've got two options. Obviously, you just try and hit on Sinmivak because he is likely going to be blinding, or you try and take away any uncomfortable matchups that you don't want to have the Aphelios play into.
And what are we thinking on that front? The Alistar has been banned away, so they're looking for, something can actually start a fight. Because at the moment, for a Go Rogue, my worry is your engage at the moment is a good pillar or a gold card. Obviously, once you've got that rapid fire cannon, sure, you have a little bit more range, but, Alistar would have added to that engage, which Go Rogue are lacking at the moment. I guess you could also make the same criticism on Misfits in that sense. They are lacking some form of engage, so we'll see what the next bans are going to be, but the Kennen, can snap start those fights. So again, another pickup that is just getting banned away from the side of Misfits Premier. Now, Misfits looking to target out one final ban onto a Go Rogue. Do they continue to look towards the bot side, or they look to ban away something that would be pretty comfortable, pretty scary to get counterpicked in the top side?
Yeah, I think we're probably looking at another support ban here. What, I'm not entirely sure. Could see something like the Nautilus come out against Rogue here just as another form of engage, but they actually breed a potential GP lock just because you've got two ranged sort of lane bullies removed away by a Go Rogue. Thinking that Sinmivak might look to lock that one in. Only played it one time during summer, however, so yeah, we'll see. I was thinking more along the lines of the Renekton. This is most played, and you've removed away two lane bullies, so if this does get locked in, it's going to be a very strong diving duo with the Twisted Fate as well. Agresivoo gonna have to pick something pretty defensive to try and survive this one. Otherwise, I imagine Rogue are definitely gonna pick up the visits up there and not really let him play too much League of Legends.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what he decides to go for, but again, it does kind of go back to a Go Rogue. They always like to counterpick this bot lane. They always like to make sure their support gets counterpicked, and picking up that Renekton is actually just going to be the Gnar pickup here for Agresivoo. So something that can, range harass Sinmivak on the Renekton. When you do get Mega Gnar into melee, it's still pretty scary. The damage output of Mega Gnar, pretty huge. See what the pickup is going to be here for Misfits in terms of the support. Obviously, they'd already thought about that Braum. They could go for that. Things like the Tom Kench are available as well if you want the Gobble, but then they're just going to go for the Braum so that can kind of block the onslaught that will be coming in. And now Go Rogue looking for an answer in this bot lane, looking for something that can, maybe fight its way past the Aphelios and the Braum.
Yeah, potentially. I wonder if they're going to look for something prior. Yeah, something magey, honestly, like the Karma, they're just going to lock it in straight away. All right, so a lot of sort of safe priority that should come out from the bottom lane. Ezreal Karma is going to be a really big nuisance for Misfits to sort of deal with in that regard. And you've got this really strong top side to play towards if you're a Go Rogue, so I think the win conditions kind of relatively easily set and easy to meet in terms of the execution here. I think you're trying to set Agresivoo behind, or you're trying to set, more accurately, Sinmivak ahead on the side lane with this Twisted Fate pick to try and shut down that Gnar. And as for Misfits, you've got the mid jungle set up there between the LeBlanc and the Viego. If you can try and find some, sort of favorable setups in terms of skirmishes, that's probably where I'm looking at for Misfits. And eventually Woolite will come online with this Aphelios pick. So try and shut down the bottom side of Rogue as well with the Aphelios. And I think that is probably what we're going to look at. A bit of a split map-ish type situation where we're going to see a Go Rogue pay loads of attention to the top side. And as for Misfits, a lot of attention to the bottom side.
But to me, that's not how a Go Rogue seem to play. They like to play through LFLICKR. So, on paper, and just looking at the draft, you go, yep, pray for Sinmivak on the top lane, get this Renekton going, so he's a problem. And then, that 2-item spike that the Ezreal gets is kind of, going to be paying you dividends in the mid game. But, if we historically look at how they've played back domestically, back at the Ultra Liga, typically they like to play through LFLICKR, and they do typically have pretty good early games. It's a Go Rogue's biggest problem has actually been transitioning early game advantages into mid games and then late game transferred into wins. That's their biggest problem. When Misfits, it feels like, they don't really have that problem. There's a lot of high expectations on this team just to walk out of this group and into the playoffs because, they beat KC and they beat KC 3-1, so didn't even go all the way.
Yeah, I mean, you can't necessarily hold one best of one and say, okay, yeah, Misfits now straight all the way to finals, they're going to be champions. But it does set a bit of a precedent, right? KC last EUM looked practically infallible. They almost did lose to UCAM in the semifinals, but outside of that, were definitely by far the best team. You see them lose to Misfits now, another LFL team who we had high expectations of last EUM anyway. Now you start to think, okay, this is obviously, like you say, they should be able to cruise through this one. But let's see, because I think this is a match for Rogue, on the other hand, where I think if there's a team you want to try and grab a win against anyway, it's got to be them. If you want to try and make it to the quarters here, UCAM despite what could potentially be inconsistency issues, we'll talk about that once we get to their match. After this one, they're probably the favorites to snag the second spot. So Rogue, they've got to pick up wins, or at least one win against Misfits here. And decent opportunity, in my opinion, with the draft they've given themselves here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, third doesn't cut it. It's only the top 2 teams to make it out of each of the groups, out of the 4 groups. So, you know, you need to make sure that you're finding yourself some pretty big wins. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk about how Group D is terrifying. It is the most stacked group. But, you know, if you are a Go Rogue, you're in a group with UCAM, you're in a group with Misfits, you know, Anorphosis, maybe they could play some upset. There is, you know, there is wiggle room, but realistically, the 2 eyes you've got on for the Group A is Misfits Premier and UCAM. A Go Rogue, are people going to sleep on them, or are they, you know, maybe they've had some time to kind of figure out what was wrong with them during, well, first of all, the Ultra Liga finals and didn't make it to the finals, but to the playoffs of Ultra Liga, and you know, also, you know, they're knocking their group play-in stage, sorry. Because, you know, going 2-1 versus OP from Italy and, you know, in a pretty close series, it's a bit of a worrying start. But we are onto the Rift for our first game of the Amazon EU Masters Summer 2021. It's Misfits from the LFL, even though they do have a dark flag. And it's a Go Rogue from Poland's Ultra Liga.
Yeah, we will get that sorted for you guys ASAP. But yes, first game of the tournament for the main stage here, as Jactroll actually snuck his way up into the top brush, potentially expecting Sinmivak to maybe check in to the top side, or actually it's like he's dropping a lane ward up there. All right, so I'm gonna give Agresivoo that little bit of information. Can definitely be valuable in terms of if Sinmivak wants to sort of hide in there for vision, dodge away from some of those all attacks from the mini Gnar. Will help him out a fair bit, but no crazy shenanigans at level 1. Not too surprised about that one, in all honesty. But I think if we talk about the early game expectations here, I think looking towards the mid lane and the jungle for Misfits Premier, Shlatan and Sertuss, I want to try and see them unlock one another on the map in the early game. Try and shut down Lurox as well as much as possible around the mid lane. And if possible, try and guard the top side, but I think realistically you pick the Gnar for the reason of just kind of letting it sit there. Try and defend some of those 2-3-man dives, and when possible, and you set up Woolite. Try and shut down LeBlanc. LeBlanc has been the target man for Rogue. He's been the guy that's been set up all of the time. Feels like when LeBlanc is given the resources, he can carry Rogue to victories. And Rogue, again, as an early game team, they have been very, very dominant, despite the outright results that they find themselves with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We are seeing where these junglers are starting up on the Rift, both of them starting on their red side. Paths are a little different. Lurox decided to leave the Krug camp and just go straight to chickens and work down from there. Well, it will be a full clear from Shlatan. Well, yeah, sorry, a full clear from Shlatan. I am right on that one. But you know, you hit on it a little bit earlier, and I actually want to focus a little bit more towards LeBlanc and Woolite, because these 2 AD carries, I mean, they're pretty impressive AD carries. These are the damage, these are kind of a bit of a comparison. The damage share between them, LeBlanc does 31% of his team's total damage. CS deficits, Woolite almost up 11 CS. D at 15, sorry, kill participation. Both of them are heavily involved in the action for both their teams, and this is why we were saying, yeah, we probably want them to play through Sinmivak, but realistically, LeBlanc gets so much resources put into him. He is typically a player who, when a Go Rogue do win, they win through him.
Yeah, they do. Thankfully, with the Ezreal pick, yes, it might not necessarily get played around too heavily in the early game, just because of the way that Rogue's draft is set up. Of course, is that 2IM Mark champion, where, you know, you hit the upgraded tier IM, you hit the Divine Thunder or Triforce, and then you are online, you're ready to dish out the damage. And the engage from Misfits Premier is kind of limited, all things considered. A lot of poke can come out from Sertuss. That's about it. So LeBlanc can have a bit of a field day once he gets those item spikes online. For now, both these junglers away from the bottom lane, gone towards their priority lanes, picked up the Skull Crabs. Shlatan in the middle of that right now. But more or less full clears. Looks like Chres is going to get a bit of a cheater recall off, so nothing too explosive in the early game for now. But I do expect, as soon as Sertuss and Shlatan have the opportunity to roam most likely towards the bottom side, they will do that. And of course, looking towards Chres for that level 6 mark for the Destiny Gate and start making plays you would expect toward Agresivoo.
Yeah. I mean, we do have to keep our eyes on where these junglers are, because it is going to be heavily on these mid laners to match their junglers on these moves around the map and on these early ganks. Obviously, like I say, Chres ideally wants the Destiny to be able to portal in and then just be able to make his way back on a snap, on a dime. Sertuss, on the other hand, hasn't actually gone for a reset yet, was quite happy just holding the wave, and Shlatan has snuck in towards this bot side, hasn't been spotted out yet. Jactroll is going to step forward already. They've got the lockdown. They've got the Suns necessary. First blood picked up for Misfits in the bot side, and Woolite now flash away. He has the Graviton, but he's going to lose his life, and now Shlatan has to be so careful. And that is a 1-for-1 bot side.
Yeah, 1-for-1. But it's definitely LeBlanc that comes out ahead. Woolite drops, doesn't even pick up the kill credit either. He's going to miss out on this wave too. Doesn't look like Jactroll is going to be able to defend it. Lurox helps kind of just about get most of this wave under. Definitely LeBlanc the bigger winner out of the AD carries in this exchange. Shlatan picks up the kill on Misfits' side, so see what he will be able to do with that one. But now LeBlanc likely going to be able to reset and pick up something like a Tier and a Sheen. He's going to be sitting really pretty in that lane we already saw. Despite the gank, obviously great setup from Misfits with the Graviton and the concussive blow set. Stacking CC, but we saw Rogue a lot of priority in that bottom lane. It's really hard for a Braum to really stand up to that much priority that the Karma can provide. So it's definitely nice that Misfits were able to at least kind of punish it. Fortunately for them, Lurox was there to at least get the counter.
Now, level 6 has both been hit by both of the mid laners, so we'll see maybe some potential punish elsewhere, but let's have a look at the fight once again as they went in. It was a good CC chain to start off.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the Graviton himself into the concussive blows and the Spectral Maw. Fortunately, Lurox is there, and Woolite, he stepped too far forward to commit for the kill. Doesn't even pick it up in the end, and then fortunately loses his life for it. LeBlanc wasn't the target, wasn't the focus, so he had the Conqueror stacked up on the retreat. Able to, Agresivoo, just missing out on the Gnar, able to just about pick up the kill with no real threat. And as said, Sheen plus Tier and a longsword against a Noon Quiver, so it's not horrible item mismatch, but at the end of the day, again, neither of these two AD carries should be able to pressure out one another. It's going to be more about the support and how much poke and priority between the Karma and Ezreal Rogue bot lane will have. Shlatan's going to steal away the Crux here, so we'll see if he wants to turn it into a gank on the top side, but Agresivoo has no armor right now.
I believe that's the second crop camp he's been able to steal away in a row, actually, from Lurox. So doing a pretty good job of constantly pathing and stealing this one camp away, just on respawn. And Lurox doesn't really have the information. He's thinking about doing this dragon and will start it up.
Yeah, he's gonna lose.
Question is, can he do it?
Yeah, no, I mean he's walked off it. It looks like the call is gonna be for a bottom lane gank. I think Chres might just try and cheat his wave here, but he's being held in the mid lane by Sertuss and Shlatan, it looks like. So let's see. Rogue at the very least going to force Woolite and Jactroll off this very large wave. The mid jungle of Misfits, they're going to try and make their way down to alleviate some of this pressure. It looks like for now there won't be any particular play made, but Woolite forced off that wave. Definitely a pretty big deal. Already 20 CS down. In comparison to LeBlanc, as Lurox will eventually start this dragon.
They know what's going on because that ward went down from Shlatan as he went to start the red buff. I think for the side of Misfits, they're quite happy to give this one up. The bot lane not in particularly the greatest state. Mid-wave wasn't perfect either. So they are just going to hand over this dragon quite happily. It's only the first one of the game for Misfits, so it's not the end of the world. Misfits are leading the gold very, very small amount. There's only 300 gold right now. With this dragon getting picked up by a Viego Rogue, is a nice little start for them. Could potentially set up for a dragon win condition, as next dragon's going to be a cloud, so we are looking at either the ocean or infernal. Two drakes, which both of these seem to be quite happy to pick up. Ezreal absolutely adores an infernal dragon.
Yeah, both sets of dragons and souls definitely very valuable to a lot of these champions in this game. A lot of frontliners, of course, a lot of strong appliers of the infernal soul as well. Champions like Aphelios and LeBlanc. And of course, Ezreal, like you highlighted, excellent at doing that. But again, full priority will continue down here, and teleport being actually pulled by Sinmivak as well as the Destiny Gate.
I think Misfits are in for a whole world of hurt. Sinmivak slides in. The Moonlight Vigil won't even go down. And Sinmivak gets the kill. Here comes Shlatan, and Jactroll's able to jump to him. The gold card goes out followed up by the wild cards, but Go Rogue able to find himself there, man. Woolite loses his life. And Agresivoo able to pick a plate up and proxy the wave, but that is it in response.
Yeah, so despite the expectations of the Rogue draft, they're actually playing more towards the bottom side, it feels like, for the most part. Had a lot of hovers towards bottom side. We forced Woolite off a wave already. Now dive comes through, 4-man, teleport from Sinmivak, plus Destiny Gate. Just not a lot you can do without any summoner spells from the earlier exchange. Very strong execution of Rogue. And again, Rogue, really good, amazing early game team. Honestly, I think average in the Ultra League are around 2.2k at 15, their gold leads in their games. But again, it's about that mid to late execution, which has been letting them down recently. So let's see if they can build up that lead towards their average in the next 5 minutes or so. They can continue to prop up FLICKR for success as they continue to shut down Woolite.
Well, they are helping, just shoving this wave here for Sertuss. Sertuss almost got that Luden's Echo finished up. Unless this is like an Everfrost LeBlanc, but I haven't seen Everfrost LeBlanc for a little while now. Misfits are going to answer out on the other side of the map with this Dragon and the bot lane dive. A little bit late, but they do get themselves this Rift Herald as a response. We'll see where Shlatan decides to use that, whether or not he just decides to use it in the mid lane and open Sertuss up to roam around the map, or maybe just secure that first blood tower in the top side as 2 plates are only remaining. Agresivoo, they've been able to pick up 3, but it's exactly the same problem they've got down in the bot side as well. Go Rogue consistently poking and pushing these waves in, and Woolite having to farm underneath the tower. They're going to lose another plate here, and this tower going very, very low.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem.
One more stack wave like this, and Misfits are going to lose that tower.
Yeah, especially if they decide to bring down Chres and Lurox at the same time. Bit of a problem lane for Misfits Premier. We'll see what they can do about it. But I think, if anything, the smartest thing might just be to split the map a bit and just send that Herald to the top side. Agresivoo is considerably ahead of Sinmivak right now in the CS department. Gold is probably close-ish to even when you consider the kill that is in Sinmivak's pocket, but it is kind of a free tower to pick up, in my opinion. So yeah, we'll look towards that. Could, of course, also drop it in the mid lane. Sertuss relatively undisturbed so far, and it will be the case. The Herald is dropped here, and Rogue not really in a great position to defend on spawn. You can see Lurox making his way up, and of course FLICKR and Pyrka up here as well, using the priority, but FLICKR's just going to take a reset. The Herald only going to yield a couple of plates. High tower from the top side.
Do, however, worry that with the fact that they use the Rift Herald in the mid wave, Rogue should realistically pick up that first turret blood for themselves in the bot lane, just because of the pressure they've been able to build. And I don't think Agresivoo has been able to do too much towards his top side since we last checked in. He hasn't. Still those 2 plates. So I think a Go Rogue, you know, if they play this right, should just be able to pick up this first tower blood for themselves. And that's that first kind of major injection of cash. And you know they're going to be wanting to play around bot side anyway, because they've picked up the first dragon. You got 29 seconds until the next one, and you can see support jungle, move through, get the vision, get the control of the area. There's a nice little pillar to make sure there's no follow-up onto this Karma. And a Go Rogue, they've kind of got complete control of this area. There's a couple of wards dotted here and there, but, you know, they're all being cancelled out by the pink wards anyway. So Woolite has to be very, very careful right now, and is paying a lot of respect to a Go Rogue. I think Misfits are probably just going to look to give this one up, although Agresivoo has teleport, Sinmivak doesn't. Chres, however, does have that Destiny, so they can flank on a snap of his fingers. And it looks like Misfits are willing to try and work their way into this river.
Yeah. Rogue, no, they don't have teleport advantage, so they are trying to drag this up as far as possible. Yeah.
He's looking for it. He steals it away. There's the Glacial Fissure. They get the big ulti off from Woolite. Everybody locked down, and Misfits are tearing through. Already found one. They flash all onto Lurox, who gets locked down for the second. Gold card charged up, but doesn't get fired. Misfits find 2 kills, and the Dragon getting away with murder.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's just a little bit too greedy from a Go Rogue here. You don't have the teleport advantage. You don't have the numbers advantage. Realistically, Agresivoo will always teleport down to this play, and unfortunately for them as well, Shlatan wins out on the smite fight, so it's now 1 dragon apiece. Couldn't have gone much worse for them, I feel, but we'll see whether or not FLICKR will be able to pick up that bottom side tower, as Woolite now as well picked up so many.
He flashes away, but the gold card done is have to heal to get the movement speed, but it's going to connect no matter what. And Woolite is going oh so low. He's got great guns, but not a great health bar. They go rogue, find their punish onto Woolite and take him down for the 3rd time this game.
Yeah, cheeky little Destiny Gate by Chres there to catch Woolite off guard. Definitely wasn't thinking about that play. As Shlatan just wins out on the Smite fight. Nothing else to say about it. A great Gravitum ultimate as well from Woolite to lock down 3 members on the retreat of Viego Rogan. Once that Gravitum comes down, there's just too much setup. Gnar comes in as well. Agresivoo with that teleport advantage that we spoke about. Helps lock up Lurox. And Misfits, like you say, kind of get away with murder. They pick up everything, realistically. Dragon, kills.
Yeah. 2 towers.
2 towers, yeah.
And it's almost on that 15-minute mark. As we start to transition into the mid-game, Agoro just lose that grip they had. It felt like they had a really good, point in this game where they were like, okay, bot lane's winning pretty hard. Chres is doing his job on the Twisted Fate, and then Misfits, they just find a team fight, they steal the dragon, they take 2 towers, and now the gold lead 27,000 to 25,000. The gold lead, 2k up for Misfits right now, and it's almost textbook a Go Rogue, unfortunately, where they play good early, but as they transition into mid, it just feels like their grip on the game slips.
It's not quite doom and gloom just yet, though. We have a fair amount of faith in the scaling of their champions, particularly into Misfits. I feel Ezreal a lot of value here, where the engage is very limited from Misfits Premier, realistically, and there's a lot of artificial movement and mobility as well from the Karma. You've got the Twisted Fate to lock down the LeBlanc anytime she wants to try and poke in, and of course he can apply some side lane pressure as long as he gets a little bit of shadowing from Lurox. Right now the issue is Shlatan is so strong, 2 levels up at the minute of Lurox. Trying to do the mental maths on how many camps that is, but almost 4 ECS as well. So 10 camps almost up on Lurox, 1-to-1. Maths is easy, I promise, and Sertuss just picked up the tower on the bottom side. So Misfits, they're sitting pretty for now. See if they can continue to apply this pressure and just slowly choke out Go Rogues. They will have to pay a fair amount of respect to the global power of double teleport plus a Twisted Fate. And it certainly can be hard to lock down champions like a Karma and an Ezreal in the mid lane. If some of this limit engage again here on that point that Misfits are working with. But if they can force Rogue into them, skirmishing shouldn't be much of an issue at all. We'll start this Herald and it will certainly be theirs, and we've seen Shlatan go from Gromp all the way over to the chicken camp of Lurox, but getting quite by Sinmivak could be a bit of an overextension here.
Yeah, they get the Fisher off, they're trying to jump away, but that's one dead Braum. Sinmivak could get locked down as the True Shot barrage hits onto multiple members. Moonlight Vigil goes down and Chres speeding towards the fight. Misfits lose their support, don't get anything in response other than the chicken camp. Overall, Go Rogue finding themselves a lovely little pick there and a much needed kill.
Yeah, definitely so, and I believe it went on to LeBlanc too, so very nice to pick that one up for himself. Or maybe I think it went on.
I think it was Sinmivak.
Yes, I think it was Sinmivak. So, nice pick either way. Doesn't change the outcome. Misfits did have to pick up that Herald, so they're going to have that as this dragon spawns up in 40 seconds or so. I believe Rogue might actually need to reset. However, I think they're going to be second to reset. We'll see if they want to stay out on the map or not. Actually, Observer, if you can hear us, if we could get a quick toggle on the goal, I'll be curious to see whether they are set.
There we go.
Okay, so yeah, Chres still needs a reset. Of course, does have Destiny Gate to get back out onto the map. But LeBlanc, a couple hundred gold away from that Muramana. So Rogue not quite on spike to get a fight going. So it is going to be Misfits for the priority right now. They reset first. They had the Herald. And their first move onto that dragon if they want it. Will crash into the mid lane. Shouldn't quite take the tower out, but we'll drop it very low as in the top side. Sinmivak gonna get this tower for free. No one answered. Agresivoo went to the mid lane to secure the Herald play, so gold traded there, but it will be this dragon picked up for Misfits second of the game. We didn't hit on it much. It will be the Infernal. Aphelios and LeBlanc. And hell, even the Viego gonna play that one really well with his passive. Get those procs off quite frequently as hoping Chres maybe steps up with that wave or towards that pink ward, but he will not fall victim to that bait. And Misfits, they just continue to strangle rather. A Go Rogue out of their own jungle. Shlatan struggling with the Gromp though, so I don't know. Zero resets, but still, Fight still stands, taking away all these resources. Lurox remains 2 levels down. XP across the board though, however, is about even everywhere else.
Yeah.
I think Karma's 1 level up on Braum, so that's about the only major differential.
I mean, nothing to take stock of is actually the items right now, where we are in the build pass, because the 2 items for Ezreal have come through. Once that is stacked into a Mirror Mana, which is very close to do, 221 stacks at the moment for FLICKR. That's a major power spike picked up. Woolite should have that Hurricane fairly soon on the Aphelios. Mid laners both 2.5 items in, although Sertuss has kind of detoured somewhat in his build to get the anti-heal with the Oblivion Orb. But once that rapid fire cannon comes in for Chres, he's going to have such an easier time versus the likes of Shlatan and Sertuss. Those extra range gold cards gives you just a little bit more safety to set up plays and keep yourself safe. So there are these little things to consider, but like you're saying, you're hitting on the scaling earlier. Item-wise, the Go Rogue doing a pretty good job of matching where Misfits are, and there's a lot of this kind of locked gold in the towers, especially since the changes to the tier 2s. So all it really takes is one good moment, and Aro can really to turn this one back around. But for now, Misfits are heavily leaning towards that top side of the rift, and Chres has been forced off the tower by Sertuss. He hasn't really got overly amazing wave size to work with, but we'll be able to deny the wave from Chres at least. As I guess to be a little bit careful. He's going to eat a Winter's Bite, but that was there, able to get to safety.
So Rogue, with the tools they have, they're going to be able to stall out the game. That's the crucial thing. Sertuss needs to be set up in a position where he can kind of be a poke nuisance. I think now that the Baron's up, it's going to be an additional sink of pressure for Rogue to have to worry about, for Misfits to work with. Crucially, so see how they will play around it, as the past 5 minutes or so it has felt like Rogue been suffocated out of pushing past their own tier 2s.
Yeah, but it is hard to, if you're Misfits, to do the Baron without being checked. You got the Destiny, you got the True Shot Barrage. You know, at this point, FLICKR has now fully stacked that Mirror Mana. The Rapid Fire Cannon's been picked up, so they have tools to be able to check on the Baron. They've also got double oracles as well. So, you know, there's 4 tools available to them from just 2 champions to check the Baron. So, you know, Misfits, they have to be a little bit careful if they want to try and sneak an early Baron. And I think they're going to pay respect towards that. They may just look to play for the dragons because, like you hit on Infernal Soul, Misfits use that dragon pretty well.
Yes, they do. We'll see. I think Woolite is about to cycle onto Crescendum, so he's going to have the red-white guns. That is, of course, the strong Baron gun, so that could be a go signal for Misfits to try and start them up, especially as Woolite now has 2 items with the Runans as well. We'll see. He's about to cycle. Yeah, so there you go. He's got the white-red. Of course, that is the high DPS weapons, but I think Misfits, they've been so cool and calculated so far. Like, play towards the dragon. I think the Baron, for now, is an unnecessary risk to actually start and take.
Yeah,
I think when Rogue has so much poke and so much sort of, you know, the rapid fire gold cards can definitely catch you off guard. I just don't think it's necessary to try and take a fight inside of the pit. I think Misfits recognize that quite well. They do have the vision set up, of course, towards the top side, but they will likely shift that back down towards the bottom side and see whether or not they can try and bait Rogue into fighting. But I think even though Rogue are kind of on their item spike for FLICKR and Chres, and even Sinmivak's got his Therax plus Gold Drinker. I just don't know if they're really going to be willing to take a fight.
Oh my lord, there's the assassination! Sertuss! Yeah. Double sigil, baby!
Yeah, well,
okay, I think they're just going to do Baron, or at least try it.
That should be Baron. Oh, okay. Rogue.
They're looking for Woolite. They've got the gold card, the True Shot Barrage. The Unbreakable's in the wrong direction to try and block that gold card, but Chres just holds his Sinmivak, being zoned away for the moment. Sertuss looks to distort forward, almost has that Mimic back off, and Dominus has been used by Sinmivak, so it's kind of major cooldown. On cooldown as Chres has the long-range gold card. They look for the lockdown, they look for the turnaround. Misfits' health bars are getting a little bit low. This is scary with a crocodile on the flank. It looks like that window to take the dragon has dissipated as Lurox has respawned. Chres can just come in and teleport back into the action if needs be, and he's going to do that into this bot wave here. Sinmivak's still got full health. With the Ceres and the Gold Drinker is pretty tanky as well. Chres is coming in, Agresivoo looking for him, but we'll just need the wild cards and the blast cone over the wall to safety. As Rogan not willing to give this one up. Another gold card charged up by Chres. A lot of damage coming out though. Onto a Go Rogue thanks to that rapid fire cannon. Sorry, Hurricane. from Woolite. And Dragon's going to get started by Misfits.
Oh, flash.
Jumping over the flash, the Heartbreaker used, but Braum able to jump over the wall. They've got the slows, they've got the lockdown. That's going to be FLICKR on a killing spree here. And that's a 4v5. Can they get in time to steal? The true shot's there. The Dragon is taken away by Misfits. And the Go Rogue will just look for table scraps, look for a way to find some punish, find some shutdowns as they get themselves a kill onto Woolite. Shutdown into Lurox's pocket. And a Go Rogue are pinging towards that Baron.
Yeah, I mean, this is big for the side of a Go Rogue, Jake. Honestly, with Shlatan dead, with Woolite dead, Jactroll obviously spawning up now. 2 main carries at the moment, despite Woolite's score. 2 items on that Aphelios, really huge. Misfits can't really do anything about this Baron at all. A Go Rogue, yes, they lose out on the Dragon, but this Baron, a far bigger prize. Agresivoo, though, is pretty close to Mega. And Sertuss very strong. We saw him blow up Lurox once. Chres dodged out on the chains. Gold card.
Got the gold card off for the moment. Can they find it? He dodges away. Agresivoo, this is your moment. This is your opportunity. They've already lost the support. Agresivoo, the 3-man Gnar back. They're in the pit still. It's going to be secured for the side of a Go Rogue. And now they need to get out. A shutdown's been picked up. So it's taking a lot of damage from FLICKR. Look at that damage from the Ezreal. A Go Rogue only lose 2, but they secure the Baron and they get out.
Honestly, worth. If you're a Go Rogue, you take this Baron. It's so much gold in your pack pocket, so much experience as well. We'll see whether or not they're able to, at the very least, take down this mid-tier 1, pick up any towers off the back of it. Misfits still should have a relatively strong stranglehold on the map, but we get the replay of the Baron itself, and inside the pit, it's scary. The Mega Gnar's there. Sertuss flash forward with the distortion, so strong. 3-man Gnar into the wall for Agresivoo there. Fortunately, Lurox is able to secure the Baron with the smite. It dropped below the 900 threshold for such a long time. It did give me a bit of worry. Lurox flashes over the wall, and FLICKR does get the Arcane Shift cooldown back up. But you can see how much damage FLICKR is able to do with just those 2 items, and now has the Sereldas as well. Ezreal very, very strong, and again, all right, Misfits, very limited engage. You know, I'm not going to say necessarily straight up a low-range composition, but Ezreal very comfortable as long as he's dodging out from Sertuss, and as long as he's always got the Karma Shields in his back to sort of, you know, help him dodge away from those damage abilities. He's going to be able to put out DPS like that. Woolite, however, on the opposite side, approaching Lord Dominik's as well, his 3rd item. Definitely very, very scary and strong, despite being 1-4 and 2 right now. We've seen land quite a few strong Gravity moments. But let's see, and again, what Rogue will be able to do with this Baron.
That's the real question, because they've now equalized out on the gold deficit they are in. Gold is more or less even at this point, only 100, 200 gold separating the teams, but once these towers start to drop, that gold lead will grow in their favor. And, you know, we came in today with a couple of criticisms of a Go Rogue.
Yeah.
Of their mid game, of their late game. This is looking like a very different team. This is like a team who have figured out some of their issues and found their form, because our expectations for the side of Misfits Premier were very high, incredibly high, after them 3-1ing KC in the LFL finals and taking the first seed from the reigning region here at the Amazon European Masters. The Go Rogue are firing on all cylinders in the first game of the group stage.
Yeah, bit of a flip on the expectations for a Go Rogue. We'll have to see, and Misfits, of course, we're starting to ramp up, but that Fire the Dragon has cost them a fair amount of their momentum in this game. But again, it feels like, as the Baron will dissipate in around, I believe, 40 seconds time or so. Oh no, we've got the timer on the screen, 20 seconds, I'm blind, apologies. As that buff dissipates, you still, at least to me it feels, Misfits will have a fair amount of priority in terms of entering the river first and whatnot, but for now, this wave shoved in by Go Rogue on the faster reset with that Baron buff recall, it means that they're going to be able to set down their vision first. It will be Misfits, actually. That, I mean, that's checking old Destiny Gate.
It was only a 700 power play, but they found themselves a Braum, and Jactroll losing his life a minute before the Dragon, spawning up is really, really rough, actually, because he is a big part of their warding. He's got the ward items, so
all right.
The control is going to be hard. This is a great opportunity if they want a base, but you can talk Vision. Go for it.
Yeah, Vision got to be a little bit scuffed now, potentially, for Misfits without their support. If we could get a look at the bottom side, Sertuss should certainly take down this tower. The Vision, it's just fully rotated at the moment inside of the river. Nothing beyond this bush right here, which is being cleared out for Misfits. So it is complete darkness that they're going to be working with. And we saw Go Rogue have a pretty successful fight on what was effectively the back foot in terms of positioning. Now they're going to be the ones first in front of the objective. They're going to force Misfits to have to come into them. What will the fight look like with that in mind? Teleport comes in from Sertuss, who's got a Banshee's Veil, so he's not going to be able to get caught out with that first gold card if he keeps that spell shield alive.
Looking for it. True Shot Barrage does only clip onto Jactroll. That's where I can speak. Sertuss does lose the Banshees, and that now means this charged up gold card for Chres is scary, is a threat once again. But look at Agresivoo on the flank. Sertuss on the flank. A pincer is being set up. Sinmivak will stop Agresivoo from stepping forward as Sertuss looks for a cheeky chains into sigil combo or sigil into chains combo. Not gonna find it, and Sinmivak actually just stalling out Agresivoo's Gnar, so he can't find a multi-man Gnar. Right, he uses a lot of health there. The damage is just being traded backwards and forwards. Agresivoo loses his Gnar form on the other side of the rift, but Lurox has been heavily chunked out. The Calibrum there from what I saw, a lot of damage, and that's going to be one dead. Crocodile is losing his life. The Flash is coming forward, and this is Misfits taken away with the fight. Dragon, 2 kills already picked up. Chres gets himself a gold card, but he's on his lonesome. Shlatan with a triple kill on the Viego, and only 2 stand. FLICKR is sprinting away from Sertuss, able to jump away to safety, and it's all on FLICKR and Pyrka to be able to keep themselves alive. But Sertuss is scouting with his clone, and Sertuss is continuing the chase, continuing the hunt for these Go Rogue members, and they just can't reset. That's going to be one dead support. Sertuss's damage is bonkers right now, and FLICKR has to find an outplay of the century to get this kill. He's not going to find it. He's going to find an ace, and Misfits will take the first game of the group stage.
It will indeed. Go Rogue, it's definitely a valiant effort, but unfortunately in that final fight, like just gave up the positional advantage that they had. And it allowed Woolite to poke out with the Calibrum, with the Chakrams as well. Too much HP lost before a fight could really kick off. Too much of a disadvantage, and with that, Misfits, they pick up Soul, and off the back of the fight, they just end the game.
Yeah. That was, honestly, that was an amazing game there from the side of Misfits Premier. You know, I think I had my concerns about a Go Rogue going into this because, you know, because of their playoffs domestically, and also because the play-ins, you know, while they made it out of play-ins, I wasn't overly convinced. Seeing them perform and actually, you know, hold up in the areas where we had criticisms in the mid and late game, you know, it has refreshed my kind of my take on a Go Rogue. We'll have to see how you can play later to see, you know, how we're feeling about them in the broader picture of it. But, you know, that was a game where a Go Rogue definitely challenged Misfits, Jamada.
Yeah, no, definitely so. I think once a Go Rogue hit those Iron Spikes, they felt very, very comfortable to take the fight. You know, with the Ezreal, with the 2 items, with the Rapid Fire Twisted Fate. Just unfortunately, during that fight that they won, they didn't pick up the Dragon, and that was the crucial thing, right?
Yeah.
It then meant that the following Dragon fight was the Soul fight, and with that in mind, Misfits, they kind of find that advantage in the positioning. They take the fight, and the death timers are just about long enough, and they have the waves and the teleports in to end the game off the back of it.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that game in a moment, but for now it's time for a break. We're back in a minute. We'll break down game number 1 of the group stage. See you in a second. everybody, and welcome back to the Amazon EU Masters. We're getting ready to break down our first game of the day, and it was an LFL victory for Misfits Premier, their first seed, taking down a Go Rogue from the Ultraliga in Poland. Jamada, I mean, realistically, it was a game where my expectations were Misfits were honestly going to stomp it, and Go Rogue did a pretty good job to pull that back when that game started to slip away from them, right?
Yeah, no, definitely so. I think, again, they just felt really, really comfortable once those IM spikes came in, and that was kind of the waiting point, right? They didn't actually, contrary to expectations of the draft, play that much towards the top side of the Renekton. As you can see, funnily enough, the Gnar did do all the most damage in the game, but of course did have the Renektons at Baron a little bit more. Look at LeBlanc. Despite the loss, 19,000.
The Gnar did the most damage on his team.
Yes.
LeBlanc did the most damage in the game. 19k coming out from him. But, I mean, there was a bit of a diffy in the jiffy there between Shlatan and Lurox. And I think ultimately Shlatan's impact on the map was really the defining thing for Misfits. Because there's that dip. If you see the gold difference over time, there was that dip where a Go Rogue, it felt like they'd lost control of the game. It was starting to veer off course. And then they just found like a moment and they came back really hard. And then that power spike there, that was basically FLICKR and Sertuss going, okay, we're going to take over now. This is our game.
Yeah, I think so. But I just believe that for Misfits, their play around the neutrals are just far better in this game. And Lurox wasn't able to find the key smites. You know, when they were sort of having these standoffs in front of the dragon here, Shlatan wins the smite fight here on the Cloud Dragon. And of course, the follow-up fight is absolutely Misfits one-sided. And from this point in the game, it just felt like a bit of a, you know, I'm not going to say a one-sided affair entirely, but it was then, okay, Rogue, we've got to wait for those two IMs. And they did eventually come, and it was the fight before this on the opposite side of the river by the dragon, which is where Rogue, of course, gained their advantage, picked up the Baron here, and again, FLICKR dealing so much damage in response.
If that true shot hit, I think Sertuss died.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I genuinely don't think Sertuss would have lived. I think that would have been enough for him to die there.
Yeah. And I think if the circumstances are slightly different, right? The wave's in a different position where Misfits can't just teleport and end the game. Even after losing this I think the game's difficult, but Rogue probably have a leg to stand on still. But again, they give over positional advantage. You see Woolite just deals so much damage, and Lurox, before he can even get into the pit, pretty much almost dies entirely. And from this point onwards, of course, the wave is set up on the top side for the teleport. Shlatan picks up a triple kill. What's back that? Yeah. Pretty much undisturbed in the team fight. And again, I just think superior play around the dragon in particular. You know, the Baron numbers disadvantage. They just lost their jungler, etc. But it's just the plays around the dragons for Misfits, which crucially win them this game.
I think, yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head. It was the play around the neutrals was the really big thing there for Misfits Premier. That was, you know, the defining thing for them. But that is game number 1. We have so many games to go. It's double round robin. There's 4 groups. There's so much League of Legends to go. We're going to be moving on to game number 2. That's going to be UCAM taking on a North Assist from Augusta. So we will see you in a moment for game number 2.